coffee in the morning. Guys, here, I'm going to talk a little bit about something that's in the newspapers a lot today, and that's an issue about voter fraud and voter ID, picture voter ID. Republicans say, why in the world wouldn't you have proper identification if you're going to be a voter? Democrats say it's just the intent to knock out those voters who will tend to vote Democratic, which is, probably the more Hispanics and the black communities who are, they're claiming, likely to be lacking in photo ID. Personally, I think that's probably poppycock, but it might be true to a little bit of an extent. Most of the argument against the voter ID laws is that voter fraud in general is extremely rare, and therefore there's really no need for imposing any other hoops to jump through for voting. Well, on the surface that would appear to be true. There aren't a lot of cases that are shown for authorities pursuing voter fraud. The problem is that's because authorities don't tend to pursue voter fraud, which is to say they don't really do anything to discover voter fraud. If someone makes a claim about a person voting illegally, yeah, they'll pursue that. But they don't go out and actually try to find it. And that was shown very recently down in Tampa. Now, there was a big brouhaha over Florida laws requiring voter IDs. And the snarky, sarcastic comments from the clever know-it-alls were saying, well, voter fraud is more rare than a shark attack. To a certain extent, they're probably true from the standpoint of cases that are actually pursued, except for one other issue on that. One case may actually involve multiple incidences of voter fraud. That's how it's characterized. If there's ballot stuffing in one place, they may stuff 1,000 ballots in there. But that's still only one case of voter fraud. But the other issue is there's no real process of detection. So there's a little news team down there in that area called NBC2. They decided to do one little investigation. They took a look at jury duty records, and they looked at people who said, I can't serve on the jury because I'm not a U.S. citizen. That way they got out of the jury duty. The thing is, they were registered voters. And, how can you be a registered voter if you're not a citizen? So they took a look at the numbers, and they were able to pull out almost 100 registered voters who were non-citizens. And that's just looking at jury duty records, people who said, I can't serve on the jury. Now you think about those numbers. What percentage is that of our voting population? That's astonishing. The fraud could be enormous. One person that they tracked down bragged about the fact that she voted every year, for every election. And she had been voting in every election for many years. Now, some of the authorities are going to be pursuing these cases. But once again, they're not doing anything on investigating them on their own, which means the fraud could be enormous. We have no idea. And as we do know, in Chicago, they brag about their voter fraud. They brag about all of their corruption and fraud. It's a way of life in Chicago. Tell me, are we going to let it be a way of life in our neighborhoods? Let me know it. There's Gaia saying, try to be good.